trick there. Just gotta watch out. One of the guys with this one. He does it! Unbelievable!
I'm here, Nemo! There's no one else stage! They told me not to come, and I'm here anyway!
Oh no! And that is going to be a mental heartbreak for Navy. Yeah, the near burn! Oh wow! It's a bonanza!
Amazing! Amazing comeback from Obama!
That wasn't Madison, but it's not over yet.
It's not. He's got 10 seconds. He can do it.
Oh!
Wow.
Wait a minute!
Wow. The champ, the favorite, proved why he's the best in the world at having golfers
Right now, yep.
And he's having a very emotional
That's how
moment
fighting
right now.
games are now. In fact, the idea of most video games have turned into some sort of competitive nature. Gone are the days where people play video games for leisure. Games like Call of Duty, StarCraft,
They're powerful robotic units that can use their long legs to step.
League of Legends, and Counter-Strike all have competitive scenes with a major appeal to audiences. And it wasn't until recently that Street Fighter joined this group of competitive games. Street Fighter is a game where two players pick characters and maneuver them around a stage to drain the health of the other character. Every hit does a certain amount of damage, and once all the damage is dealt to a character, the game is over. When taken into full account, one can relate the overall culture and characteristics of these competitive fighting games similar to a sport.
This is gonna be it! A perfect! GoPro! With a perfect! Knocking Drago into the loser's bracket! Blowing up the beast! We have never seen a beating like
One can
that.
argue, due to the technological advancements that globalization usually characterizes, that there are two different and distinct eras of this competitive scene. The first and oldest era can be defined as the arcade era. During this time, most competitions and playing of these games occurred at an arcade. They would cost a certain amount of money, usually a quarter, in order to play one game. And if you won, you would get to play the next person essentially for free. This could be seen as the root of the competitiveness in fighting games, the fight to stay on the machine. The next era could be described as the console era, and has occurred much more recently. Eventually, some fighting games would be first debuted in arcades, like Street Fighter 4, but then be released on home consoles such as Xbox 360 or PlayStation 3. However, this era caused the end of arcades. In the following years, we would see a shift from this arcade era into the console era. Because people moved from playing at the local arcades, these arcades would lose massive amounts of business, resulting in closure. Just in the Southern California area alone, around 3 or 4 arcades would close down, including the one that homed top player AGE Knives. In this interview, he talks about the differences from these two eras and the changes that the shift has caused.
These days, there's people who stay at home all day and they just play by themselves, and they get to a level where they think that they're ready to go to a tournament. You meet them at the tournament and it seems like everyone is just another person that's there. As opposed to before, when you go to an arcade, it was like as if everyone was there together. You knew these people because you saw them all the time and start referring to each other by your first name or your gamer handle, and it created a sense of like family. Like even if you were at each other's throats, even if all you wanted to do today was beat this guy or that guy, you were still friends. Now with the way that console gaming is taking over and the fact that arcades are dying, it's no longer forcing people who are into video games to actually interact. And I think that that's going to actually play a negative role in people's lives in the long run. I'm really grateful for this place. You know, a lot of times I feel like I took it for granted. I always had a place to play. There was that sense of solidarity with a complete stranger. You go to FFA and there's 2 players there that love this game as much as you do. You don't know their name, but you both know this game. You both have something to bond over. Even if no words are spoken, there is this sense of connection by being in person with somebody. You know, sitting at home by yourself, yelling at your screen because you're losing to somebody online, it's not going to do the same thing. And I'm always going to be sad that that's no longer going to be available.
Then, sponsorships soon became a big part of these fighting games, starting out from small sponsorships like Empire Arcadia from the East Coast.
America's largest video game teams, Empire Arcadia. With the best players in his fold, he was able to gain numerous sponsorships. It all came crashing down when a larger company, with larger capital, offered prize fighter Justin Wong a contract.
Gutex, an older player, would explain this phenomenon as follows.
I recall being a child when skateboarding was on the climb. It seemed like what happened was the events got bigger. Somebody at ESPN noticed and was like, hey, went and created the X Games. And then got a bunch of sponsors to come around and put up money and stuff. So then what would happen was the skateboarders would get sponsors. So, I mean, the parallels now with Street Fighter and the fighting games is that, okay, well, we have a lot of kids playing video games. And as you can see, there's hundreds of them here this weekend in Orlando. So, for example, this weekend here at CEO 2011, DMG, Dominion Method Gaming, who's one of the top teams here in the fighting game community, they announced a partnership with Mad Catz, who makes fight sticks. I guess you could say that we're in the early stages of what happened with skateboarding, at least as far as I could tell. That's the way I see it.
Mad Catz proudly sponsor Team DMG. So Mad Catz sponsor Team DMG. It's a product-based sponsorship. So we supply Team DMG with their fight sticks, with controllers, with headsets, with a whole heap of quality Mad Catz equipment, and in return we get their logo on all their t-shirts and marketing materials. You know, we certainly want to develop our community activity, associate Mad Catz as a quality brand, and associate our quality products with quality gamers. When it comes to quality gamers, Team DMG are some of the best in the world. So, you know, we always keep an eye with what's going on in the community. We're very ingrained there. We do know who are the teams to watch, and Team DMG are certainly amongst the best in the world. So, you know, we've been speaking to them, they speak to us, they love our products, we love those guys, the rest is history.
Really, it's
very hard to put a dollar value when it comes to sponsorship of players, and indeed community activity. It's very hard to put a dollar value on PR or marketing, but it's essential to growing a company, I believe, and to really building trust in a very loyal fan base and a loyal community. The community is something that's absolutely important to us at Mad Catz. It was the community that helped our fight stick business grow. It's something that's very dear to us, and it's something we're absolutely committed to growing. And we want to make Team Mad Catz unstoppable.
We're grateful for, you know, Markman and Mad Catz for believing in DMG and sponsoring us. You know, other teams have sponsors like EG has Intel. They got a lot of money, but we're just fighting game community-wise. And, you know, with Mad Catz being our newest sponsor, I mean, we're definitely growing from there.
More recently, these fighting games are growing into something much bigger than the game itself. Just last year, a show called Cross Assault would air on the internet for free, essentially being a TV program that viewers could watch. This would be one of the first steps in creating a sort of fighting game television program. Additionally, with the internet, fighting games became easier to learn. Tutorials would be available via YouTube, and forums full of content would be free of charge to join. Mad Catz fight sticks would become the standard when it came to playing these fighting games at home. They would also become a huge business and would allow the company to sponsor players.
And the whole marketing aspect just goes along with it. Obviously, we're doing a lot of things that are more tied into community. That's why we're here at Winter Brawl. But just being tied in with the community is not enough. You have to have a bigger understanding of how things work. If you have that kind of understanding, you'll be prone to make less mistakes. You'll know exactly what you need to do from a cost standpoint to make money. I mean, there's no way we would do this kind of stuff if we didn't make money off of it. But that's probably the least of our concerns. Having the people that you know, like Daigo, Tokido, Kayane, Ryan Hart, it's a case-by-case basis. I mean, some people might look at it and think that like Mad Catz just sponsors all the top players. That's not necessarily true. I think the most value that we get out of sponsoring key players is getting their information, getting their feedback, and kind of really finding out their level of passion on how they want to help grow themselves, grow the fighting game community, and also work with us. So it's luckily I've been working with great people, great teams, and they've been more than enough help to us to actually let us know what we should be doing to help support.
Finally, although all these would seem all good and well, many, like Mike Ross, think that this evolution would in fact destroy this community.
Well, you see, as it stands, I like how it's already separated in terms of you have to say esports cross fighting game community. You know, because fighting game community is not esports.
It's very separate.
It's very separate. And I mean, I don't like the term esports.
That's fine.
I think it's a terrible, terrible term.
Semantics.
Yeah. Yes. But the fighting game community, you know, I like its underground 8 Mile feel to it, you know? It's got that rugged feel. But the esports thing, like, I feel like I have no place in there.
Let's say it wasn't called esports. Let's say we're just, you know, a bunch of competitive gaming organizations that put together events with StarCraft and League of Legends and, you know, an FPS of your choosing.
Yeah.
And they say, we want to bring Street Fighter in. Do you guys want to play? Do you want to play for, instead of $2,000, $20,000?
I think obviously it's good for the players. It's very good for the players. I wonder how it'll affect the community. There's a possibility that could happen. I mean, you know, we're used to seeing him, you know, on the floor next to, you know, 1,000 people in the room chanting his name, possibly doing side bets, maybe not, you know. I don't know. There's no confirmation of that. I don't know. Shout outs to Mr. Abraham Sotelo.
Mr. Sotelo.
Mr. Sotelo. But, you know, if that environment's gone, I don't know how it would affect everybody. You know, I would love to see Mr. and Wolfcrone making like 80 G's just for playing, but that's what we all want. I just don't know what kind of effect it will have on the community as a whole.
See, I knew you would say that, Mike Ross, because that is the same sentiment that a lot of people share, and I totally get that, because it makes perfect sense. Okay, you add an extra 0 to the prize pool, and the cost of that is that everybody is now subject to, let's say, the corporate rules, corporate sponsorship rules.
Right.
Well, you know, we got to tone down the language. We got to separate a little bit between the players and the crowd. Maybe the side bets can't be as prominent.
Fighting games are still in the midst of growing. We have yet to see how big this scene could get.